2 weeks in a row I got it.
Our Fuego.
Hiya. Hey everybody, welcome out to the National Player Club Garage Pod. Hey, it shut itself for the first time in a long time. Sitting here with Aaron Kilgore of the East Coast Meat Puppets. I was fixing to call you the Leonards. Our four-time Super Bowl champion, self-proclaimed fantasy guru. Got Kevin Riley of the Emerald City Lanterns.
You got it right this time.
He is our, oh man, I lost it.
You almost had the open. Kevin, do you remember?
Comic book.
I don't remember.
Comic book geek. Football chic.
There you go.
And myself, Clint Davis of Total Chaos. I am your four-time playoff champ and Super Bowl chump.
We're going to go through, try and get knocked out in 3 seconds this week. We're going to do a recap of last week. We'll do a preview of next week, and then we'll go to Fantasy Fluff for Section 3, where we're going to go over Sharky's picks, our picks, F-bombs, all that good stuff. We have a special guest at the end of all 3 sections, as we did last week. He's new and should be relatively
He
entertaining.
scored Charlie Sheen last week. How cool is that?
The Sheen.
The machine.
Not just any machine, the Charlie machine.
The Charlie machine. We also have
We have one that's on the phone, yeah.
We got Gordo Mania live on the phone, and I'm going to recap the first of last week's matchups.
Annihilation.
Give him a chance to chime in on his own destination there. Gordo, you with us?
I'm here.
All right. Well, looking at last week, we've got Drew Brees put up 19 points. I mean, he's been doing about what he's doing. Graham got him 11. Nothing stellar. He's still getting double digits out of both his mainstay players. Daniel Thomas was his lesser of his starters with 4 points. Left 33 on his bench with Torrey Smith. Obviously went up against my Pats and put up multiple touchdowns via his brother's loss.
Yeah.
All the love goes out to him and his
you,
family. Philip Rivers put up 2 points. So not only did Gordo crush the first place 2 pump chumps, 127-73, and incidentally, Brandon put more points on his bench with 87 points than he did in the starting lineup.
Go me!
That said, Gordo Mania with 127 points. Brown, outstanding pickup. We knew it was going to be good. We didn't know it was going to be that good. 30 points. Fell short on Philip Rivers. But if you're a little bit more wacko for Flacco, you could have had 30 more, or at least 20 more there. What do you think about your last week's cremation?
That was just total domination.
That was a pretty sweet matchup.
That was my upset. I predicted.
You're not the only one.
Yeah, we actually there's a couple upset picks that we had thrown you in there.
Right here.
This guy, too.
No, you didn't.
Oh, yeah.
So
I have it on record.
With Wes Welker's abysmal performance in Week 1, the fact that he put up 25 points in Week 2 for you in a game that was high scoring. It was Baltimore. It was brutal. I'm jaded. I don't even want to get into that part of it. But how do you feel about Wes Welker moving forward?
That was nice. New England kind of crazy. They throwing the ball fourth everything. So Captain Gronk got screwed last week. Hopefully they'll put it together and they'll get the better done. We'll rack it up from here.
They seem like they've been keeping Gronk in for a little more blocking sections, which is I know not something that you wanted to see. But with the loss of Aaron Hernandez and our decimated O-line, I see why they've been doing it. Julio Jones still performing well, double digits for you. It was a little banged up, but he came out and put up 16 points for you. Tony G followed suit with 24. So if you didn't get off of Julio, you got off Tony G. So a nice performance there. Are you going to, is there a quarterback controversy there? Or are you going to jump back in with Flacco next week heading into this man, Total Chaos?
I'm going with Flacco. I think he'll go in Thursday against Cleveland and tear them apart.
Well, you've been putting up some points as of late, which definitely, because in the South there is, I want to say, four teams that are tied at 2-1, but you're holding the second place spot with the point total in your favor.
And I'm right behind him in points.
Yeah, and we're seeing how important that is, especially with the bye weeks coming up. I'm not sure if you have any bye weeks coming up in next week. I haven't looked at those matchups yet, but you're feeling pretty comfortable going up against Chaos.
I'm feeling good right now.
Can you give,
Chaos is a good matchup this week.
can you give us?
But we always have. It's almost like a division rivalry. We always have a good game.
And Gordo, you got some good news. It looks like Matt Forte may come back next week. You need to kind of keep an eye on that. So.
Yeah, I am questionable running back right now, especially with Bradshaw coming back for the Giants.
That was my bigger question. You've got Bradshaw coming back. Do you see them at a 50-50 split?
Could be.
So if you've got Forte coming back and Bradshaw coming back, do you take flip the coin on Brown with the production that he put up for you last week as a potential 50-50 split, or do you take Forte back on the field?
I'm probably going to put Forte back out there. He's a second-round pick, and I can't stand to put a second-round pick on the bench.
Yeah, and not for nothing, you still got Welker and Jones, so you've got wide receivers already out there. You could, very easily go ahead and drop Colston the way the Saints have been rolling, and go ahead and start both those running backs for that matter. But hey,
You're right.
not to drag this out, we're going to get into more of these matchups from last week. So we appreciate you calling in. We know you got to work early, and hope you check out the rest of the podcast, and we will talk to you this weekend. You got anyone tomorrow night?
We're going to go with Flacco tomorrow night.
I'm putting the Ravens defense in.
Yeah, I think I'm starting their tight end. Hey, Gordo, good talking to you, brother. We'll
See you on
talk
the
to you
field.
All right, down with the chumps.
All right. That was Gordamania, the coach of the Gordamania. Moving on, we've got the Burn and Barflies, another
Rumble
rumble
between
between the
the sheets.
sheets. The Burn put up her first win, very must-need to win at the bottom of the barrel, 130 to 103. Rogers still isn't out there producing. He's 9 points for. Fitzpatrick put up 20 on our bench. I still wouldn't have made that flip. I mean, it's still Aaron Rodgers. He's still healthy. I mean, you can't take him out of your starting lineup, but you got to start getting concerned at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is the elite quarterback status, and he's doing the yardage, but it's all right up to the goal line, and then they're running it in. So you're not getting the touchdowns that Rodgers normally throws. You're seeing more of the fullback and the running back being dumped over to, and they're just cutting through the goal line.
And I don't have numbers here, but I don't know that Green Bay has been actually lighting up the scoreboard either.
They're
not ranking up points. I mean, they're getting through, but I don't even know what their win-loss ratio is.
If I remember right, I think they're 1-2.
1-2, really? And then New Orleans is without a win.
3-0.
0-3. Yeah.
Yeah,
my Vikings 2-1.
So you take the top three quarterbacks in Tom Brady and Drew Brees and in Aaron Rodgers, and you're looking at 1-2 teams and 1-0-3 teams.
You got to throw Peyton Manning in that mix too. I mean,
well, speaking of Peyton Manning, you just brought that up. The fact that Byrne actually played John last week. Peyton Manning put up 21 points. He's a homer. It's Peyton Manning. But he also has to, again, just like Gordo had to, he has to now look at his bench and see the fact that Andy Dalton put up 35 points for him and decide, how much of a homer is he going to be? Does he want to get Andy Dalton back in the mix?
With the lack of wide receiver, with the lackluster of wide receivers in Cincinnati, Andy Dalton is finding targets. I mean, it's like he's got laser sighted. He's
going to be our boy from TCU. He's going to be a superstar in this league. In his second year, and he's proven, he can put up the points, and he can put the team on his back. He's becoming that general, which is a key figure for those quarterbacks.
He's becoming the leader that he needs to be for that team.
Absolutely.
He's got another year in the NFL, and a little maturity on his part. I think he will be another Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, somebody direct.
You got to get a ring before you do that.
How long did it take Peyton?
Yeah, but I'm saying, but you put him in that category. I mean, granted, he's good, but people were also talking the same thing about Flacco. People were talking the same thing about Matt Shaw. So let's see him make the playoff. Let's see him win some playoff games. I like where he's going. I like fantasy value where he's at. Yeah. I don't know if we'll see them in the playoffs this year. Incidentally, Andy Dalton lit up all those points via Bernie's wide receiver, who put up 42 points for her against John, which actually cost him the loss. Huge. She did have 3 points off of the Pittsburgh Steelers on her bench. Saints had 17 points. It's almost a coin flip on defenses lately. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Well,
you know,
some of your
six
powerhouse
one
defenses
has
are
the other.
not so powerhousing, and some of your lesser defenses are starting to shine. Kansas
Tennessee
City.
Titans. Oh, sorry.
I don't think that was a game of defense.
That was all a game of defense.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, a kick return for a touchdown, an interception for a touchdown. There was a fumble recovery for a touchdown. I mean, it was like
That was more
Tennessee-
special teams. That wasn't a defense.
okay,
mean,
defense,
the
special
fumbles,
teams
yeah.
in fantasy.
Okay,
world,
yeah, I
you know,
see what you're saying.
Like I said, Andy Dalton put up 35 points. John left on his bench. Jordy Nelson put up 3. You know,
He also had
that's
26 points from his defense.
That was it almost is conspiracy theory I'm looking at here. You got Aaron Rodgers, her quarterback, that only gave his wide receiver 3 points. Meanwhile, his quarterback on his bench gave her starting wide
You think
receiver
they planned this?
42.
I think we're going to have a committee vote on this.
Well, if there was a plan, John wasn't involved in it.
John was
Hey,
never involved.
Moving on. Let's get to Game 3. We've got Road Rash against the Naughty Gnomes. Naughty Gnomes holding first place as she's moved from the south to the north. She's holding a convincing start up there. There's a couple ties for 2-1, not nearly as much as the south, but
She's got the lead with points right now.
Oh, she's
400
crushing
points. Broke 400 points. Right at 400 points this week.
and she's crushing it without a Tom Brady. Because
Yeah.
we talked about this last week. No Tom Brady week 1, no Tom Brady week 2. This week puts up 22 points. She had Christian Ponder who ran for a touchdown, so I mean, you got her some 24 on the bench. She left maybe 2 more points on the bench. It was a good start. Maybe it was because of not that she had much of a choice, but she
Yeah.
started everyone that she needed to.
If I could break in real quick, I just got an update from our man on the bench, actually in bed, Gordo, sending me a text message that the regular referees are going to be back for tomorrow's game. Breaking news.
Interesting.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, 1 game too late as my pass lip goes down to the field goal. So Griffin III.
And Belichick got fined $50,000.
Is that what it was?
$50,000 to go. Hey,
You know what? He should have tossed him another 50 and just knocked them out at that point.
I agree.
I mean, I don't know who I'd be more afraid of.
I would see
Belichick
Owen
running after
Street
me
throw
or
a banana
Big
peel.
Wilfork running after him. Because the 2 of them had the issues.
Yeah.
Robert Griffin III put up 24 points. William McGahee got taken out of the game, put up 4. Running backs, and we'll get into this later as far as we get into the injuries, stuff like that, but running backs have been a nightmare this past weekend, decimated. There's a whole new slew gone, a whole new slew that are coming back. How healthy they're coming back, we don't know. We'll ask you here shortly. The defense, you put up 16, 18 on your bench. Looks like you only left 2 points out there. You did everything you could, but now you know, turn it on. Turner finally showed up. Speaking of turning it on, Eric Decker got her 16. Finley that she picked up off her Devin, double digits. Lynch, double digits. Sean McCord, Michael Shore, that I picked up at the end of the draft, held for 3 weeks, had to start a new tight end, picked up a second tight end, put him back out there. She started him. He was supposed to only get minimal carries. He's back in the lineup, 25 points. Just saying.
One of those, hey, just take some points from me.
We're about halfway through last week's postseason or post-game.
Last week's matchups.
I think we're going to take a break here for a moment. We'll jump back into it.
Yeah, we can do that.
See you back in 2-2.
2-2. 2-2. Short break over. We're going to jump right back into last week's matchup. We got about 3 more left. Little talk to do with it, and just see where it goes from there.
Yeah, our little talk always kind of flows.
Yeah.
You know, it's never a little bit of talk. It becomes.
See?
See, there's my own soundbite. There we go. But all right. Something like that. So looking at show me those TDs up against the Annihilators last week. Annihilators in 5th place now, and show me those TDs in 6th place.
1-3, sweetheart. 1-3.
Bottom barrel
for you.
Bottom barrel, and you're actually the only one. No, not the only one. You're the only one at 0-3 in the South. There's 2 0-3, I believe, in the North. I have to double check my numbers, but I want to say there's. No, but I am second to last. Or maybe it is only one. In any event, Matt Stafford put up 18 points for Monsterberger on the bench.
36.
Yeah. Now, it's Stafford, and she's got
The
Calvin
handcuff
Johnson,
to go with it.
and Calvin Johnson put up 35 points. It's like, how does her wide receiver put up 35 points and her quarterback puts up 18? I don't want to hear anything from you, John, about the quarterbacks getting 4 points, because we already did the math.
Actually, Matt Stafford went out after this in the second half.
That's right.
beginning
Because there was
of
that
the-
comeback in that
The
hit,
hit.
which was a sick end of the game. Well, we had 3 overtime games,
Oh.
one led by the rookie They came back to a Hail Mary to win the game. That was something that was crazy.
Caught by my wide receiver on my bench.
They like those bench points.
Oh, yeah.
Jamal Charles also put up, speaking of bench points, out of control. Yeah, that's pretty much sizes up right there. 233.
233 yards, 55 receiving yards, 6 catches, 49 points.
91-yard touchdown run.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what?
I think he left his
20
shoe on
points?
somebody's rear end. He
Yeah. So
broke
all
it
those
off.
that have Peyton Hillis that were like, oh, they're sharing time.
Not anymore, they're not.
Sorry, B. Not if he's putting up those type of numbers, and he's catching the ball out of the
And
backfield.
Hillis is hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which means they're just going to keep running him to death. Now, he won't stand up with those type of numbers throughout the rest of the season, but I'll take him as long as he makes those numbers, as long as he can go and get you those wins, because those are the deal breakers right there.
Yeah.
59 points out of a running back, but you have to get him in the starting lineup. That said, on the flip side of that, Annihilator still pulled out the win with 135 points.
Phenomenal. I mean, she was down most of the day.
She was way down.
It's like second half, boom.
Here, last week we talked, and you guys asked me my thoughts on this particular game, and I said it came down to what McFadden showed up and what Fitzgerald showed up.
And
They
both of
both
them
And
showed up.
both of those showed up. Both of them showed up just the way they should have, and they hadn't in the first couple of weeks, but 26 points from Darren McFadden, 30 points from Larry Fitzgerald. Outstanding. Brent Selleck, got 5. Granted, Cook was on our bench with 22. She really wanted to break it off. She could put up 176, I believe. She had switched out Jay Locker
Yeah, one of her
for
quarterbacks.
Eli Manning. But how are you going to put Eli Locker in place of Manning after Manning put up 510 yards and 2 touchdowns?
Mm-hmm.
So I get that, but I mean, still 135 points, very respectable. You like to see your bench making points going into the bye weeks. It knows you give some flexibility to make those transitions when you need to. Moving on. So basically, 5th and 6th spot, but a 1 and 2 from Annihilators and an 0 and 3 from TDs. TDs, you just got to start scoring some wins.
She's getting the points. I'll give her that. Every week, she's putting up mad points. It's just she needs the wins.
And like I said, and 4 of the top 4 in your division are all tied. So if she can just get into that time mix, then she can make that jump. And there's still plenty of weeks left to go. And bye weeks are going to hurt everybody, and injuries that we'll talk about here shortly as we go into next week's matchups. DK Comics played East Coast Meat Puppets. My boy, away from the house,
beat you like you were a stepchild.
Well, Erica, thank you.
Perfect time.
And I think he really appreciate that one too. What can I say? He actually took both of us out. I mean, and he's actually sitting in second place right now.
All the time you told me I couldn't go out after dark.
He's sitting at 2-1, put up 137 points. Luck put up 29. Wayne gave me 16 points via Luck, so it was nice. But you're getting 29 off of Luck. You're getting 28 off of Rice. You're getting 19 off of Johnson. 19 off. He picked up Bennett. We both needed tight ends going into that weekend. I talked about this going into last Thursday's game. Bennett put up 19 points. That was huge for him. But I could have started everything off my bench, and it still wouldn't have made the deciding factor. He crushed it. And
I
actually,
think his bench would have beaten you as well. It's come close to it.
115.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wallace, and he's got Wallace.
Backup could have whooped him.
He's got Schaub on his bench for 31. He basically left 3 points off his quarterback on his bench. Like I said, his coin flip, he's got 3 of them. He's picking, picked at least one of the 2 right ones. And he left Wallace on his bench, which he didn't need. And I don't know who'd even switch him up for the starting lineup because, Johnson's still there. And, you look at Rice and Smith that are all put up.
Well, you got 29 points from Wallace. That's who you
huge.
should have started exactly.
Yeah, but the thing is, are you going to put him over Stevie Johnson, who's got a banged-up backfield? It's one of those that I'm like,
Give or take.
yeah, if you want if all of a sudden they were getting 6 points, but they put up almost 20. So, it's a coin flip. And, again, you like to see those points on your bench going into those bye weeks, so you make those adjustments. Brandon Lloyd, I was looking at Baltimore's defense. He did put up 22 points for me. I should have had higher expectations for him with the fact that Hernandez was out, and they put a couple of people in the mix that probably weren't going to get the ball. They're more for decoys than anything else. But, Ryan still got me 21. I like the fact that I picked him in the 8th round, and he's still top 2 quarterback. Yeah, and I think my defense definitely ranks up there. Baltimore was not going to give us a whole lot of points, but I didn't expect us to go negative. Negative 1 point for my defense. Redskins on my bench were decimated, but now dropped, got me 13. I'm a homer. I still got to hold on to my Pats defense. So
He's got a Pats.
That's going to come back and bite you.
well, over the Redskins, I picked up the Cardinals starting this week, and they're the number 2 starting defense. And if you've seen what the Cardinals did to my Pats and saw what the Cardinals did to
Cardinals are for real.
Yeah.
For real.
last but not
here we
least,
go.
we've got our boys to my right. We've got Emerald City Lanterns. A little golf clap for everybody. Emerald City Lanterns and Total Chaos. Sitting in prospective 4th place for the Emerald City Lanterns and 3rd place for Total Chaos. 3rd place in Total Chaos at 2-1. Like I said, you've got 4 people tied up at 2-1 over there.
Kevin.
You've got only 3 people tied up in the north for You're in the south, yes?
South.
I'm getting all screwed over here for a second.
He's in the wrong.
Yeah, I got all kinds of
hemisphere.
backwards. But yeah, so basically you're 3rd, you're 4th. If the game went differently, you guys basically would just flip-flop that point. Cam Newton didn't show up. But here's the thing. Yeah. But here's the thing, it's Cam Newton. Your other option was Tim Tebow. You need to get some funds in, and you need to get rid of Tim Tebow.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's not even a running back at this point. He's not even a distraction.
I think
the Jets are
the pasture for the Jets right now.
You know what? And with the fact that, I mean, Cam Newton and where you dropped him was definitely a starting quarterback. So we're going to wait a while on backup quarterbacks. But when you got the backup quarterbacks, you didn't actually pick a legit backup quarterback. You picked up someone that you expected to be in a starting quarterback position by week 4 or 5. But it doesn't look like he's moving in
You know what?
position yet.
If the Jets are still having problems like they are, there's a good chance he may come in there. Because
But now,
But I don't think.
with
I don't
5
think.
weeks coming up, do you want to take a chance
Do you
that
have-
he's going to be up
Here's
there?
my question: do you ever see yourself moving? Even if they switch Sanchez out for Tebow, do you ever see yourself putting Tebow in front of Cam Newton? Absolutely. Bye week. Absolutely. The only thing is what I liked that if you didn't have one of the elite quarterbacks who aren't exactly elite right now. Some of those teams went with 3 quarterbacks. Devin did. Christine did. I mean, and it actually worked for them. They took the lesser of the 3 and either tossed them in the player pool or just rolled out with their top 2, and it's working for them. Jason Witten,
He didn't show up.
no, he didn't show up. He showed up more when he had a bleeding spleen than he did this week. 2 points.
2 weeks of drop and catches. And I got the text right after I was cussing up a storm. And then I get this text that goes, ouch. And it's like, really?
The Cowboys' offense right now, big problems. You have an offense in the NFL that should be a high-powered offense. You know, Romo, for as much as I don't like the Cowboys, should be slinging that ball around, putting up great fantasy points, which he has done, and he's not doing it because their offense is
you
not
can't
there.
nail it down to Romo's fault.
It's
It's
not.
the offensive
It's not.
line. It's breaking down. It's
everything
beat up.
on the offense.
We've had to change out our center. We're shuffling guys around on the
Penalties.
left side and the right
Penalties are
side.
killing them.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. You got Nate Washington put up 28 points on your bench last week. Darren Sproles put up 6. Victor Cruz, it's still Victor Cruz. You almost have to keep me in your lineup.
Yeah.
Miles Austin put up a respectable 18.
Antonio Brown put up.
Where do you see
19,
fitting
18.
Nate Washington into your starting lineup, if at all, or do you think that was just a fluke last week?
I think it was a bit more of a fluke. I mean, because if you look at that game, they were flinging that ball 30 and 40 yards each pass because it was the Detroit Titans game.
Yeah,
And
it was a shootout.
Yeah. Detroit's not always like that. Stafford dumps it over, and he brings the safeties up close, and then he sends Calvin Johnson down the field, and boom, hey, we're up. And then they do it again.
You got arguably 2 of the best defenses now with the Jets' injury to Revis Island in the Texans and the Baltimore Ravens, and they scored you 7 points for the Texans, 4 points for the Ravens last week.
And it was all from points going up and points going up.
It was.
Points
It was
going up
literally
on board. The more points the offense were making, the less points my defense were getting.
Every sack, every interception, all that. Short of a
Negated.
pick 6, all get negated when you start putting up 40-something points and you start going to overtime games, and that score just goes.
Yep.
Hence my negative 1 point for New England Patriots.
Hey,
So I don't feel that bad about a negative 1 point for New England Patriots when
Here's my
Ravens
favorite
that
is
played against them only got 4.
my favorite is last week you said, you should I wouldn't play the Ravens on this. And I started thinking about it. It's like, yeah, because Brady starts slinging that ball down the field like he's known to do, I'm going to start losing points big time on the Ravens. So I kept Houston in. And the defenses were there. They were really there. I mean, it was a knockout, drag out by both defenses. It's just
right. Don't get me started on the penalties and the.
You know what? I don't even talk about refs because I can throw my hat under a player too. So, hey, I don't mind you shoving him. Just make sure you got your hand, one hand partially under the ball when you come down with it. Okay, Tate? Seriously, come on.
Well, we're done with last week's recap of the matchups we've got coming up. Next week's predictions or potential starts, which we kind of covered a little bit. We've got some injuries to go over. And then we've got
Fantasy Fluff.
Fantasy Fluff. We got to love some Fantasy
Got to
Fluff.
figure out. We got to talk to the producers, see who's calling in this week.
Oh, yeah, big time guest.
Big time guest.
Big time guest. That's all I'm going to say.
Big time
Every
Fluff.
week. Every
I think that's a
week.
Disney Channel.
Big time
Big
Fluff.
time Fluff.
I'm not a fluffer.
Still love Big Time.
He's the one that got called by Guy Tech. We'll be back here in a minute. What you minute? 2.